Hello and welcome to another video on the Lighting Workshop YouTube channel with me, Charlie. I'm a freelance lighting designer and all-round lighting nerd, and in today's video we're going to look at creating a flash to white or a white bump or whatever you want to call it, which is a really effective and dynamic thing that you can do to flash along to the beat or create some really nice looks. If you're doing busking in particular. In this particular video, we're going to use submasters because that's my particular preference when doing that in EOS. You can use a Q-Stack, but just because of the way EOS has been built and because of the way submasters operate in EOS, I find it easier to do it that way. So and probably a lot less hassle. So I'm going to do it that way on this video. I'm just going to clear out my manual challenge there. If you have watched the previous few videos, in particular the last one, you will recognize this show file. It's got eight. It's got eight moving lights in this sort of 4 dotted layout. Very simple, very basic, and that's about it. So if you are unfamiliar with what we are trying to achieve here, I'm just going to quickly explain. This is a button, a playback or an executor that when you press momentarily, the fixtures in that, they go to 100% intensity often, and they take out any color filters that are in there. So you get this bump of pure white output, which looks great. So how do we create this this in EOS? So let's just say that this is our look on stage. I know it doesn't really make any sense, but it was just from a functional perspective. So just so you are aware, the moving heads are currently at 50% of their intensity, just so that it helps show that that's what's happening when they go up in intensity when we run it, and it shows it. And I've also put them in this blue, which is Lee 120, just so that again, when we take the color out, it becomes very apparent that that's what's happened. These are not manual values. They have been recorded into a queue. So I am literally just going to start adding stuff on top of it. And it'll all make sense. So how do we start? Let's do one that's just going to encapsulate all of our fixtures. So I'm going to grab group 3, which is all of our movers. And I'm going to give them full output, which is the first thing we want them to do. The second thing we want them to do is we want them to lose any color filters that they have in them. So I am going to home out their color parameter. However, be aware that if you are using color flags or a color wheel rather, this will cause problems. So because, say for example, if you're yellow, when you press that button, it's you will get a staggered rainbow as it tries to get to white and then back again, and in exceedingly rare cases does that look good. Most of the time it looks crap. So bear that in mind. If you're using fixtures that you know you're going to want to bump to white, keep them changing color, utilizing color mixing capabilities. Obviously, if your fixture has additive color mixing like RGB, this isn't generally a problem. However, later on I'm also going to show you a technique whereby if you have fixtures that occasionally will be hopping into colors in the color wheel, we can exclude them from changing to that color in here, but only changing the color if it is in CMY or RGB values. So there we are. But anyway, what have we done? We've put our intensity value to full, and we have taken out any color in the fixtures at all. Now I haven't recorded anything yet, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to record that to a sub. Nice and easy. Now obviously I have just stored the information without any real regard to what it is. So I'm just going to hop into our sub menu, and if you're unaware of this, a quick way of doing that is double tapping sub on your desk, and you get the sub tab will open and present itself on the desk. You can see sub 1 is the only sub that has been created in this show file, but I'm going to hop over to our primary display. And we get a load of options here. One thing I'm going to do, just as an organizational thing and also as a safety net, utilizing a channel filter where you can declare what channels the submaster is allowed to touch. So I'm literally going to say it's only allowed to touch group 3. This always something I utilize. Now we click on parameter filter. Now this is the bit we want to really look at. So because we want to bump it to white, we want it to touch intensity. So I'm going to say we touch intensity, and then in color I'm going to select that, and then I am going to, this is the thing where as I mentioned, if you have fixtures that might occasionally in a future queue call up something in the color wheel, and therefore we don't really want them to bump to white in those situations because it looks ugly, we deselect those options like so. I don't need to touch cooling fan. However, I have selected the CMY parameters still. You might also want to select the CTO filter, but I imagine you might want to keep that selected because that usually is variable. Everything else we've got deselected, so it won't touch any of these other parameters, which is nice and neat. And we can hop out of that, and as you can see, that's now been populated. I'm also going to exclude it from records because I don't want anything like that happening. And this section here is where my next move is going to make. Now, my uptime I always leave at 0. My downtime always needs a nice change. I'm going to change this to 0.3, and I will show you why that is when we run it. I have also got this set to manual, and I'm going to hop into live now, like that, and I'm going to sneak our desk so it goes into the queue, and I'm going to split our screen so we have our augmented model here, and I'm going to bring up virtual faders on the right, and I'm going to put sub 1, and then I'm going to load that onto that submaster there. Now we have our normal default functions. We have bump, group assert, and the load at the top, the load being the button we use to populate it. We have the fader, group assert, which brings those values into the syntax, and then we have bump, which bumps it. So this is what happens now when I press bump. We get this fabulous effect, which, as you can imagine, if we've got a beat in some music going boom, 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 it sort of verges on the side of subtlety, but also it's got like a little flavor about it, a little bit of excitement, and we're not taking fixtures out entirely, we're holding their state, but just for a brief moment we're spicing it up a little bit. It's something really, really, really effective. Now this is where things get interesting. The uptime, as I mentioned in sub, was set to 0, and the downtime is set to 0.3. So that means that when we go up, it does it immediately, and then when I release the button, there is a slight fade on it. Why is this important? Well, let me show you. So if I hop here and take the downtime to 0, you'll see why I don't like it. It looks abrupt. It feels, perhaps the word is inorganic. It doesn't feel right. Boom, 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 boom. There isn't that tail off, that fluidity at the end of it, especially if you're following along with music. Music doesn't do that. Doesn't go doom, 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 doom. it doesn't work like that. So if we hop over into sub, give it a downtime of 0.3, you end up with a much nicer look. And of course you can tweak that a bit if you don't like the 0.3, but that's always been my go-to. Now there are other really cool things that we can use this for, and I'm going to show that now. So I could say, for example, go into, in fact this is even a quicker way, you can go into sub and say sub1, oh no, sub1 copy to sub 2, oh no, I can't do that, and sub 2 copy to 3. There we go. So I've now created 2 extra subs with exactly the same information in it. Why have I done that? Well, what I'm going to do is, if you remember from a previous video, group 11 grabs those fixtures there, and group 12 grabs those fixtures there. So I can very quickly hop in. Oh, hello. I can very quickly hop into, say, sub 2, change the channel filter to group 11 like that, and then go sub 2, load that there, and then in sub 3 change the channel filter there to group 12, which has another set of channels in it, and then load that there, and then hop into live, and now I can go boom, 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 bow, boom, 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 bow. So very quickly you can play your keys like a keyboard. Obviously this is going to be a lot easier with a physical console, pressing those buttons. Boom, 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 bow, boom, 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 bow. Very cool. It looks immense. It looks quite complex from the viewer's perspective if you're following along to the beat. When in actuality, all you're doing is listening to the music, feeling the music, and just going dum 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 down dum 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 down. And obviously if you've got a bigger rig, you can do ones that do the whole rig, all sorts of things. It's just something that is so simple to make, yet create something genuinely great, and is something I think is worth sharing. So I hope this video helped someone there. And this is also why I utilize things like it's another reason why I utilize the channel filter, is that I can then copy a master version of it, and then I can separate those channel sets up by using different groups. Because if you had a version of the submaster that had every single fixture in the rig in it, which is really easy to do, because all you'd have to do is grab every light in your rig, put them at full, and take the color filters out by homing them or whatever, apply the parameter filter as I showed you, and then from there on in you can just copy them over to different places, and then just change the channel filters and just declare different groups in them, and then that way it will only talk to those groups. It's really quick and easy and simple. It looks fabulous. But yeah, dung 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 dow. It's fabulous. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this helped someone, and if you have any questions, as always, please do pop them in the comments below. Like, subscribe, do all of that nonsense. My name's been Charlie, and if you've seen me do anything in this video that you were like, whoa, what did you do there, then again, also please do ask. If there's anything you would particularly like me to cover in a future video, or perhaps you would like me to go over some lighting design techniques, again, mention it and I'll see what I can do. Anyway, I hope to see you in a future video. Been an absolute pleasure as always. See you then.